I good? Okay. All right, so had a really good opening day today, although it feels a little different from when I was playing, when October 15th was your actual opening day after no access to your coaching staff in the summer. A little different, obviously. We've been going at it since June and have got a really good feel for this group of guys. But with our first official day now in the books, talked how important it is to our six kind of guys that I've determined are the leaders of this team, formed a leadership group with them and talked about the importance of them coming in and really setting the tone for our team on this first day, and that's exactly what they did. And, I'm really excited about this group. Friday is going to be a great night for us to get out in front of our fans. We're changing the format of what we've done in the past. Last year, for example, when it turned into a one-on-one battle with Alonso and Casey. So this year we're going to do more of an open practice in about a 30-minute span, and just get our guys out there to show a lot of the things that we've been working on without showing too much. And will be a good night for us to get out in front of people for the first time and really show what this group is all about. As far as an injury update, Karan McPherson had surgery last week. Everything went great. He's doing well. It's going to be a long road for him with the procedure that he had on his knee, but he's going to be fine, and looking forward to him getting back fully healthy. He will miss the entire year. As far as Sam Griesel, since we've been back in school with the fall semester when it started, Sam has been on a load restriction, but he is making it through most of the practice. He is full contact now. His load today, he made it all the way through. We'll have an off day tomorrow. The way it works is first day of practice technically was yesterday, and we have 42 days before the first contest, and we get 30 practices, so we have to take 12 days off. Yesterday was the first one. Tomorrow will be the second one, and as we continue to ramp up, Sam's load will get higher and higher. Wilhelm has been awesome. Have no restrictions with him at this time after the procedure that he had last season. So with that, I guess I'll open it up to questions.
Who are the six guys in leadership?
I'll keep that between us, Robin. But we've got six guys that I've really kind of determined, are the group. Some of the older, most of them older players, and we've got one younger guy in that group. But it's a group of guys that kind of started at my house last week, and we're going to meet every week just to really get a pulse on what's going on with the group. We have our culture day on Friday, which has been really good. A lot of that led by the leadership group, and I think it's paid dividends for us going into the season. And again, it was one of the big things that I talked to our staff about in the off season, is really to try to go out there and find guys that have been a part of winning programs. And when you look at Sam Griesel, played in the NCAA tournament. You look at Juwan Gary, he's been on a team that won the SEC championship, been on a team in the Sweet 16. Manuel Bandamel, back-to-back years as double-digit scorers on a team that's played in the postseason. So Blaze Chieda won a junior college national championship 2 seasons ago. So, you can see it. You can see with those guys what they've been through, and when you hit adversity in a practice session or somebody gets a little bit out of line, how quickly that they get that guy back into it. And it's been fun. It's been fun to see those guys really kind of come together. The amount of time they spend off the court, and it's just a really tight group that you don't always have in this business. So again, a lot of that is been spearheaded by those older players. There used to be. Now they walk in, it's like, we got to go to practice again. But yeah, back when I was October 15, it was two things for me. It was my birthday, and it was always the first day of practice. And there was always an excitement for that day. Back in those days, coaches, they couldn't even watch. Not only could you not work with them, they couldn't even watch you work out when you played pickup. So it was all organized by the players. And we basically played pickup in the summers, or in my case, I did an internship with a brokerage firm and then went and worked out with the team. Now, and you worry about burnout with these guys. With as much access as we have to them now, with starting for the first summer session on June 8th, Luca, June 8th, we get basically 4 weeks. They get a couple days off, and then we get the second summer session. So we get 8 weeks of access to our players with 4 hours on the court and 4 hours in the weight room. And we really, Kurt Joseph, who's as good as any in the business, is heading our strength and conditioning department. That's really what that time is for. It's much more for them to really build their bodies up to prepare them for the workload that we're putting on them now. So that's our summer, is a lot of that, and a lot of individual skill work. And now the fall workouts, we start putting in more of our concepts in more of a team type format as opposed to small groups, which we did over the course of the summer. And now obviously with the time, that's the biggest difference. You go from 4 hours a week now to 20. And you get a lot of time to bring them back in and do individual film sessions with them and get them back. We got a bunch of guys coming back over this afternoon for individual skill work. So that's the biggest difference, is just the amount of time that we get with them once we start actual official practices.
With Karan being out for the year and Sam still being on a bit of a load management schedule, with the point guard position, what is the level of concern there? Who are maybe some other players that can help with the depth there this season?
Yeah, one that's actually been really good with the ball in his hands is Emmanuel. And, we saw some of that last year. He played with a great point guard at SMU that's now playing at Memphis that had the ball in his hands most of the time. When Emmanuel had opportunities, we saw that he was a very good playmaker. And so we've put some of that responsibility on him. And, I've kind of given it to Griesel. I've given it to him. Ramel is playing with the ball in his hands. Cale Jacobson is playing. He's given us really solid minutes with the ball in his hands. I feel good about a couple front court guys initiating offense, with Derek being one of them, and also with Wilhelm. And, we've put some responsibility on those guys as well, especially when we're getting pressured, which we're going to see some of that early in the season with some of the teams that we're playing. But, I've been pleased, especially Emmanuel. He's got a ton of experience. He's certainly going to be able to take, some of that ball handling, initiating of the offense. And some of our younger guys have shown flashes as well.
Well, and Emmanuel, we're talking about how it sounds like this is going to be a team with a defensive identity. What qualities does the roster have that embodies that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think, Jimmy, with what we have added on this team, I think length is the most important part of that. When you've got a guy, the head of the snake with your defense with Sam Griesel at 6'7", Emmanuel, his ability to pick up full court, put pressure, really moves his feet. Denham Dawson has been awesome. He leads our team in deflections. We've been charting all of our practices, and he's got great defensive instincts. Getting Wilhelm back out there right now at the 4. Jawan's got good length. Can guard really. I'm comfortable with him guarding 1 through 5. And a guy that's been as good as anybody's Blaze. He has picked things up. He leads us in charges by a wide margin. And in talking to his coaches and the people that have been around him, they talk about there's no shock with that, just how important he was in anchoring the defense. Just I think overall length is where we have added the most as far as what will give us, more of a defensive mindset with this group, or defensive identity, I should say. It's because of positional size and positional length.
I saw you with the charged T-shirt and that picture on Twitter a couple weeks ago. How are you guys embracing that culture?
I look pretty good in it, didn't I, Jimmy? It is something that we're really challenging our guys to do. And it's also, for us, from an offensive standpoint, we're calling everything. If they're in position, they get down there, we're calling a ton of charges right now. So it's forcing our offense to play under control, which we've gotten better at as this thing's gone on. We're doing a better job of taking care of the ball by going in and playing under control. The guys have really taken a challenge with it. Every day we make a defensive edit for them and put it, in the portal where they can go in and watch and, see the mistakes that are being made, and then going back and correcting. Now that we've got more time, we'll be able to do that more on the floor. But we're making things for these guys to give them access to go back and learn, and then, hopefully not make the same mistakes again. But our guys were flying around. I mean, it was they're covering for each other. We're putting them in a lot of rotation just based on the way that we're playing on that end of the floor this year. It's a group that's really bought into that.
Coach, what are you kind of hoping to get done this year? I mean, it's early on to kind of determine this, but when the year comes to an end, what do you want to look back on and say you accomplished?
Well, I hope we win. I mean, that's obviously at the end of the day, what we're all going to be judged on is how many times we get in that left column. And, it's going to be, for me, what I'm looking at every day is, are we making progress? Are we continuing to ramp up? We can't afford to take, steps in the wrong direction and then have to, go back up. But, obviously, we're taking every day as a learning opportunity. This has been a very process-oriented group where, they take the challenge. You look at what some of our guys accomplished in the offseason. C.J. Wilcher lost 15 pounds. He's a completely different player right now because of what he's doing as far as taking care of his body. Derek's doing a really good job right now getting his body in the type of shape that he needs to be in. Wilhelm, Sam Griesel, those injuries they had were serious injuries. And, the commitment to getting in and rehabbing with RJ, with our trainer, with Kurt in the weight room, and with our sports scientist, Matt, as far as all being there together on the same page, to get these guys back to where they need to be, where very soon they're not going to have a load management. They're going to be full go. And, Sam's coming back to shoot today at 3:30. A couple of the other guys as well. He wouldn't have been able to do that a couple weeks ago. But, he's been so diligent in his rehab as well as Wilhelm, and that's going to, allow us to do a lot more things.
Fred, offensively, where do you see your points coming from?
Well, I think it'll be much more balanced attack than what we've had. I think, some of the most successful teams I had, my previous stops, were when we had balanced offense. And, we put in a little bit different system this year that's really promoting ball movement. And, I think we've got a lot of guys that can make plays. And, last year we went to a lot of misdirection type ball screens at the end of the year, and we had a lot of success with that. We need to get off, obviously, to a better start. We need to do a better job of closing out games when we have opportunity. When you look at last season, the amount of close games we lost, that affects your confidence. That affects your execution down the stretch. In what, I've been on teams that have won those close games, and it's just night and day, what it does to your overall mindset. So, I think this group will handle that better. Obviously, we'll see once we start playing games in November. But it's a group that I'm excited to go to battle with.
Do you feel any extra pressure personally, given what your record has been here heading into this season?
I feel pressure every day of my life. It's just what comes with this job.
Why do you think this group is better suited to handle the kind of pressure that comes with close games?
I think, part of it is experience, and, part of it is having guys that have been in those moments, playing in the postseason, having guys that have, been there and had success. I think that's a big part of it. Again, last year, the way it ended, we figured it out, but, we need to figure it out earlier. And to have guys that have been through it and have that experience, I think will help.
How differently do you feel about this team's rebounding potential compared to that?
Well, again, I think it's size. You got a really good rebounder in Blaze, one of the top rebounders in junior college the last couple of years. Juwan Gary's a relentless rebounder on both ends of the floor, really gets after it, especially offense. He needs to do a better job of blocking out in the other end, but he goes after that thing hard. Denham is a guy that can go get it. So again, when you have positional size and length, it definitely makes things easier on that end of the floor as far as finishing off the possession with a rebound.
It sounds like Blaze is basically everything you kind of hope for, an initial impression of what he could add.
Yeah, it's such an adjustment. I think you saw some of that with Casey last year. And, you look at the summer Casey had, he had 33 against Australia in his last game of the summer in FIBA ball. Australia's top 5 team in the world. And Casey hits 9 threes against them. So, Casey, I think having a year under his belt now and having the type of summer that he did where he led the Japanese national team in scoring will help him immensely. So you look at Blaze coming in now and just every night going against, especially in our league, the quality of bigs that he's going to see on a nightly basis, it's an adjustment. But Blaze has picked things up so quickly. I knew I liked Blaze. I didn't know he was going to be as good as he is, as fast as he has. So, just physicality, rebounding, like I said earlier, taking charges. He's just done a little bit of everything for this group, screening, and then ability to score it in the paint.
To your point about the balanced attack, and Manuel was up here talking about, guys kind of have to nudge each other, like, hey, we can shoot that one.
Mm-hmm.
What's the line between good ball movement and overpassing?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jimmy. It's the first one you've ever. No, I'm just kidding. So, it's for It is a good question because we have had guys that have passed up open shots, and CJ, if he has any daylight, I want CJ shooting the ball. Casey has any daylight, I want him shooting the ball. Jamarcus is really coming on. He's shooting the ball. Ramel is coming on. Our freshmen are getting good. We've got to, we're going to have a huge decision on our hands as far as who's going to be in a rotation because a lot of guys have shown flashes, of doing really good things. Wilhelm's, again, I know this doesn't mean anything, but, my point is when they have open looks, we want them to take them. But if the next one's there to be made, the extra pass or the getting in the pocket, making the quick extra one on a read based on where the defense is, we want to make that extra pass. But it has been a very unselfish group, and I've been really pleased with that early on.
You've gone through off seasons where you've had to get a lot of new faces to try to gel going into a season. Some groups have had more difficult times than others. How does this team compare as far as where they are at this point compared to some of your previous teams?
Yeah, I mean, it's for this group, Robin, I think the fact that you have the amount of experience that we brought in, and again, if we had 3 weeks to get everything as far as a chemistry standpoint, to have to accomplish it in that short amount of time, but we get so much time. That should never be an excuse. Well, we got this many new faces. Well, hell, we had 8 weeks in the summer. You got another 4 weeks in the fall when you get here, and now you got another 5 weeks heading into the season. So that should never be an excuse. As far as what our guys have, again, I'm just going to keep going back to we have older guys on this team that have come in from winning programs. That should help in that area immensely.
Freddie, you mentioned Culture Friday. Are those team bonding activities, go out, do something?
Yeah, team bonding, speakers, just getting together and making sure that we're living up to our core values, just all those things that are so important. And again, this group has been so tight, it's a fun, unique, these days we're all sitting here looking at our phones, right? Whose phone is this? But anyway, it's just one of those things where, there's so many distractions out there, and it's a hard time to be a player. It's a hard time, for guys like that because there's so many distractions, and you try to tell them to limit them and to put those things down, but they're attached to them. And the fact that our guys are able to put that aside and come together is a great sign. Now, is that going to translate to wins and losses? It can't hurt. It's going to help when those guys have a genuine care factor for each other out there on the floor. And, I think part of that is chemistry and part of that is culture. And, if you can get that where it needs to be, it's going to help you in those close games. It's going to help you in your overall bottom line of having more wins than losses.
What's your favorite ESTG song?
Oh, man, Jimmy. Another great question. I'm going to figure that out today, Jimmy. That's my project.
What's the idea behind changing the format of the opening night?
Just again, I think it's going to give people a really good feel and a good look for what this team is about. They're great. They communicate with each other. They talk to each other out there on the floor. I just didn't like the way it looked the last couple of years. We went out there with the idea where we were going to get up and down, and then it was such a short amount of time. It just turned into basically a glorified all-star game. So, I'm looking forward to, getting out there and showing what this group's all about.
Fred, how's it been working with your new assistant coaches?
Yeah, it's been great. I've been really pleased with everything. We've been out on the road a lot. September 9th is when we start our fall recruiting period. It's a tough time because you have your guys, you have the access to them, and then we can also obviously get out on the road and recruit. So we've been all over the country, looking for the right fit. And, got 2 guys that left right after practice today to hit the road. But I've been really pleased with our staff.